We have a resolution to the NFL Cold War between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons. I assume you've heard by now. Maybe not. You knew something was going to happen. They've been at loggerheads for a while. The other players that were bitching about their contracts, they agreed to either new deals like Washington Commanders and their wide receiver Terry McLaurin. The Cincinnati Bengals gave Trey Hendrickson a raise, but there was one left. Party of one. That would be Micah Parsons, who is never going to wear the Dallas Cowboy uniform again. Bye-bye, Parsons, headed to the Green Bay Packers in a blockbuster trade, leaving America's team following a months-long, highly publicized, highly talked about contract dispute. So what did Dallas get? Well, Packers got some Powerball cards. They got that. A couple first-round picks, one in 2026, one in 2027. And they also acquired a defensive tackle you've never heard of named Kenny Clark. Yeah, Kenny Clark. And they give up Micah Parsons, who agreed immediately, sight unseen, to a contract extension to live in Wisconsin and have a big Cheshire cat smile on his face. We are told that Parsons and the Packers have agreed to a record-setting contract, $188 million over 4 years. That's good money if you can get it. Now, we know these contracts are fugazi, the total amount. It's all about how much is guaranteed. So for that, it's $120 million guaranteed. So Micah Parsons will be buying dinner. And what does that mean in the big picture? It means that Parsons has become the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Highest paid. So what you get? A couple sacks a game for that? That's what is that? Per game, I don't have the math on the per game salary, but just per sack. Let's say he gets, 15 sacks this year. And he's making 45, 47 million, something like that. Well, there you go. All right, so let us discuss the question. Who is in the winner's circle on the Micah Parsons trade from the Cowboys to the Packers? So my thoughts on this, I've got Pirouette, Cotton Candy, and Walgreens. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some delicious, crunchy tacos. My friend back in the day said those are gringo tacos, but we're going to make them now because I like them better. Yeah. So, listen, this is not that hard. We're not talking about open heart surgery here. We're not talking about something complex. We're talking about sports. The Green Bay Packers did something they weren't supposed to do at a time they weren't supposed to do it. This is something they never do. Now, some of you said, "Oh, you got it wrong, Ben. You got it wrong." Okay. The take was the proper take. And the reason that this Micah Parsons trade is so outrageous is because that was the proper take. I nailed the take. I got amazing credit for that take. That was an amazing take. I dotted the I on the take. But the Packers said, screw the take. We're going to change it up. We're going to go to Vegas. We're going to bet the house. We're going to go down to Fremont Street, one of those sleazy hotels on Fremont Street. We're going to put all the chips in the middle. And they got a guy who, in theory, is good enough to elevate the Green Bay Packers, who were a playoff team last year. Now, I have my doubts. We'll get to that as we go through the night. But if you check out the Richter scale on the Micah Parsons trade from Dallas to Green Bay, this is not just your normal transaction. This is a full-blown, I call it a cheesequake in Titletown, USA. The Green Bay Packers, those buttoned-up, conservative, draft and develop monks of the NFL monastery, just ripped off the robe. They strutted down the catwalk and shouted, "F them picks!" And they did a little pirouette, like they were at Fashion Week in Paris. A little pirouette right there on the catwalk. And talk about a bizarro world situation. The last team you would think would do this would be the Green Bay Packers. And here we are, right? And to repeat, for those of you in the back of the room that are a little slow, the Packers don't do splash. They don't. They don't do drama. They don't do $188 million contracts with $120 million guaranteed. They do quiet draft nights and passive-aggressive news conferences. But now, are they having a midlife crisis at Lambeau Field? Are they the person in the middle of their life going out and buying a cherry red Ferrari? They're dancing with Micah Parsons, and they're doing it with a lampshade on their head, dancing on the table, yelling, "We're all in, baby, we're all in." Okay, well, hopefully Jordan Love doesn't ride the vomit comet, and he certainly regressed somewhat last year for the Green Bay Packers. Now, page 2. So Jerry Jones addressed the media following the Micah Parsons trade. We're going to take a lot of quotes out of this as we work our way through the overnight. Jerry's always good with the sound bites. And so one of the things that stood out, Jerry said that, quote, "We did think it was in the best interest of our organization for the future and this season as well." Apparently the editing department did not put any sound in, but that's what he said. So how do you decode Jerry Jones saying that Micah Parsons trade, the Micah Parsons trade was in the best interest, he said best interest of the Cowboys organization for the future and this season. So I'll tell you how I decode that. This is known as prepackaged. It's a prepackaged line. We've heard it hundreds of times over the years. It's not an answer. It's a stock thing that you write on a card, like a birthday card or a Hallmark card. You could slap that line on literally any move the Cowboys make. It's one size fits all, that line. The Dallas Cowboys could have traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, and they could have acquired a beer vendor, or they could have traded the guy selling the hot dogs. Whatever they would have done, it doesn't matter. It's always in the best interest of the organization. If Jerry Jones decides to take a bowel movement, it's in the best interest of the Cowboy organization. It's a fortune cookie answer. You open it up, it's the same message every time. And listen, I understand we talk about this seemingly every other night. Jerry Jones is like a carny, and he's coming to town, and he's running the cotton candy machine at the carny, and he's spinning sugar, and there's really nothing of substance there, just a sticky mess that dissolves the second you put it in your mouth. It just vanishes. But the best interest means absolutely nothing. And the best means as good as all the rest. We say that all the time. It's like saying, hey, the sun will rise in a few hours from now in the east. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So Jerry Jones, he's obviously not explaining what he is doing. He's a salesman. All right, Jerry is selling. He's the guy at the state fair yelling at you, hey, this is a two-headed goat. Come see the two-headed goat. The future of farming is here, a two-headed goat. That's it. That's Jerry. So you're supposed to walk away dazzled. Not actually informed, but just dazzled with Jerry Jones. All right, now, last word here. So this is my favorite part of all of this, the health of Micah Parsons. You might remember earlier this week, state-sponsored NFL media told us that Micah Parsons was frantically trying to leave the Dallas airport, and he was desperately seeking a second opinion. Oh, my aching back. Holy crap. My God, the guy's got a chronic back injury. He needed to see another doctor. So the Cowboys had Parsons undergo an MRI on his back over the weekend, and the results said the back was pretty clean, supposedly. So Parsons was, for lack of a better term, doctor shopping to find a friendly doctor that would sign off on his back being all effed up so he could miss games. So now that Micah Parsons is headed to Green Bay, how is Parsons' back tightness going to affect the Packers? Should they be worried? Should they be concerned at Lambeau that Micah Parsons is damaged goods that they just traded not one, but 2 first-round picks to get Micah Parsons, and he's got a bad back? So this trade from Green Bay, or to Green Bay from Dallas, the deal is like a trip to Walgreens for meds. You don't need to get a cortisone shot. Forget about that. No cortisone shot. You don't need physical therapy. You don't need an ice bath. You don't need any of that, because we've determined after years and years of research, doing talk radio that the greatest anti-inflammatory known to mankind is money, money, money. Oh yeah, you know it, right? You write one of those big cartoon checks for 120 million, guaranteed, and all of a sudden, Micah is hopping around like he's on a pogo stick, like he's in one of those Tempur-Pedic commercials. Oh, I'm feeling great. The thing that this is, and it's a classic story as old as time in professional sports, players disgruntled, players not happy, and so they fake an injury. They lie about an injury. That's what Micah Parsons did. He's a liar. Micah Parsons is a liar. And this is it's a Manny Wood situation. I would say in my life, working in radio and talking about athletes, that is the single greatest I'm faking an injury story of all time. So years ago, the Red Sox had this guy named Manny Ramirez, who was a good player. He's kind of a Looney Tune. And Manny was upset with the Red Sox. So famously, it's a great story. So he complained, "Oh, my aching knee." Manny Ramirez complained. And he actually missed a couple of Red Sox games. And then in the clubhouse at Fenway, one of the reporters went up to Manny and said, which knee is bothering you? And Manny was gobsmacked. He could not remember which knee was hurting because he made it up. So the Red Sox doctors, I remember the story, they had to have him have MRIs on both his knees. And it was all a scam. It was all a scam. Much like back tightness. Remember when I covered the NBA years ago, and the go-to injury if a guy was out too late, boozing it up and chasing chicks, was a lower back injury. If they were hungover and couldn't play on a back-to-back, they'd say they had a lower back injury because there's really no test for a lower back injury. And so back tightness, I would assume that's the new term for lower back injury. Like, well, if you say your back's hurt, that's it. There's really nothing you can do, and you can take some tests, but there's really not much for sure. And if it says it hurts, and all that stuff.